Hey, good evening. Welcome to the Thursday edition of Your Questions Answered. I'm Michael, KB9VBR.
And I'm Joe, KD9CGX. Happy April Fools, a little bit
April.
belated.
That makes us a couple of April Fools for sure. But
Well, or
yeah,
something. Fools, maybe, probably other words, but hey, whatever.
it's Thursday, April 4th or April 6th. Oh man, the week is 6. It's only 12 days till tax day. So that's all I know on my calendar. It's
Yeah, I've already wrote that check. Don't even ask me about that. Ooh, just making it rain for Uncle Sam this year. No new radio for me.
Yeah, I know. I got to do this. I'll be doing the same thing. That's one of the joys of being independent, self-employed, is you
make those quarterly payments and hope that's enough.
Yep, I just write the big check.
Ooh. Well, just remember those quarterly payments are just an interest-free loan to the U.S. government.
That's right. Well, they get you if you need too much. If your tax is too high and you don't make quarterly payments, then you gotta then they charge interest. So
right.
They get you.
If you pay them, they don't give you interest.
No, they get. All right, people are starting to file
really
into
my gears.
Yeah, the U.S. tax code. Let's talk about that for the next hour and a half.
And our viewership just went boom.
Oh, hey, we got some people in there, Darren, all from the other side of the pond.
Good morning.
Good morning.
must not have anything going on tomorrow, I'm guessing.
No,
maybe Good Friday.
Yeah, that or he's an insomniac. So, little Shane, Don, it's from the Twin Cities.
Hey.
It is chilly. It is windy here. We had winds gusts up to 40 miles an hour today. It's just been terrible.
It's been windy. Absolutely. And it's been cold, bitter cold.
Yep.
But I looked at the weather forecast for next week and 70s finally. Oh, praise the Lord.
It'll be 72 degrees on Tuesday. So
I am so sick of this snow. I mean, it's only been 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, we got a foot of snow again. So it's like, go away, please. But unfortunately, when the snow melts, those of us with canines have a different problem.
There you go.
You know what I mean? It's a little thick out back.
Oh boy, Brent is checking in from Disney World.
Hey, the happiest place in the world, right next to Ham Radio Outlet.
There you go. Make sure you ride that Small World ride.
Is that even there anymore? I know they got rid of the log ride.
No, I think it's still there. I believe for all intents and purposes. So let's see what else we get. Yeah, did I swerve into a Dave Ramsey show?
Oh,
yeah, we're gonna. We're gonna talk about your personal finances. So,
I got family members that listen to that all the time, and I'm not into personal finance at all. Probably because I spend way too much damn money. Probably. Like I live dividend check to dividend check for Michael.
There you go.
That's your $5 I get every month from his videos,
Brent's doing the POTA down in Florida, so maybe I'm thinking about getting on the
his first Florida POTA.
Florida POTA. Yeah, he's down there at Disney World. So
nice. CQ Mickey Mouse.
There you go. Those mouse ears. They would make good
MICKEYMOUSC.
for your microwave there. Your microwave stuff.
I could have dual dishes painted black.
Diversity reception.
Right. And then of course I'd probably get sued by Disney for copyright infringement.
Yeah. We're getting a few questions here popping up in the chat. So if you've got any ham radio related questions, be sure to leave them in the chat and we'll try to get to as many of them as we can. So
we'll try to answer them in the best of our ability. Otherwise, we'll just make some stuff up.
There you go. And you might not even know the difference.
I never do. Just like
Yep. Yep.
Make it rain knowledge.
Oh, gee. I haven't done this in a while, but I've gotten quite a few QSL cards in the mail in the last
What'd
month
you get?
or so. Oh, I'm going to embiggen us here a little bit.
Whoa, easy.
Oh.
Easy on the embiggening. We're both embiggen.
WE2EEE. I like this one because I just, in the pileup, I hear echo, 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 and it's just like.
Well, that in CW, that'd be the dit. There's a lot of dits in that one.
It would be.
Oh, there we go. That's
a nice one.
I
Is
don't
that a
recognize the jet. Is that?
That's a Learjet.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, that's a.
Got the extra tanks on the tips there.
Yeah. We got the Tucson, Arizona. So these there's saguaro cactuses in the. So.
Very nice. Very nice.
Very nice. Spokane. So that's pretty. KD2TAR is also that's not the Blue Ridge Mountains, is it? Nope, that's the Appalachian Mountains. He says he's got a caption right down there. So
same difference.
They're
both out east.
You're right. And then Brent, this is a Brent down in Florida this week. Thanks for the card.
There we go. Thank you.
Nice fall colors. And another North Carolina. So it's
very nice.
And they've got some. Thanks everybody for sending these along. So greatly appreciated. If we as always, if you make a contact, I do return QSL. So if you want a special QSL card, a couple stickers, that's catch me on the air.
He's got plenty of stickers. No one's buying them.
I got to get some new ones. I got to get some because I'm going to be going to the Ham Fests in a few weeks. So I should get some
Ham Fest.
Ham Fest. We'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. So
is there a Ham Fest coming up soon? Maybe a popular one? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, we got that on my list to talk about. So stick around. Well, probably at the bottom of the hour we'll talk about Ham Fest. So
a big announcement about a Ham Fest coming up.
All right. Mr. Phillips asks, best bang for the buck crossband receiver under $100. I don't know if there's anything under $100.
Not necessarily.
What is that? What's that one? The TYT 9800 or something like that. That's that sort of a clone of Yaesu's FT 8900.
Yeah,
I think that does
200.
Yeah, that's about $200, and that does crossband repeat.
Yeah, it's about 200. You're not going to really touch anything with real crossband repeat under $200.
No,
I think I got there's a Radioddity one, a real small one. I think that does crossband repeat. I think is it the GD25? Is that it?
Is it? Yeah, I'm not
25. I could be wrong on that.
No,
I
don't.
DB25.
Yeah, that doesn't do crossband. It looks like it's just it's a multi-band, but
yeah, not a crossband. Yep, that's unfortunate. So yeah, you're really not going to touch anything for $200. So if you're looking for something inexpensive, try to find like a used Yaesu mobile or used Icon mobile that does crossband. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, then you're getting into the $200, Chinese copies, and that you get what you get there. So.
Because really a crossband repeats, it's got two VFOs, so it's like two radios built into one, and then it's got the filtering added so that you don't overload your receive while you transmit at the same time, because you need that duplex operation. So it's,
so in fact, that's exactly what it is. There's just a duplexer built in there that keeps it separated. So.
Yep. and when you go crossband, because the frequencies are spread so far apart, the duplexers can be quite small, so they fit in. Yeah, so it'll fit into the standard form factor of a mobile radio. But
In fact,
typically,
believe it or not, well, they knock stuff off my desk. This is a high band VHF mobile duplexer.
okay.
So this is actually for 172 megahertz. Don't ask me why I have one of these or several dozen of them. But yeah, so you can see a duplexer can actually be very small for mobile application as long as you have significant separation between the transmit and receive frequencies. The problem is with VHF repeaters is that we have a 600 kilohertz offset, and you need very large duplexer in order to get the significant amount of the separation in dBs between the two of those. So, but when you have like a couple megahertz offset, like we do normally in commercial applications, a small duplexer will actually work just fine. And if you look at UHF duplexers, I don't have one in front of me, but I have one someplace. UHF duplexers with a 5 megahertz offset for a repeater are just the same size as that. In fact, a little bit
tiny.
smaller.
Yeah,
exactly. So that's one of the caveats with any sort of like mobile radio use as a crossband. We used the FTM 400s a few years ago for emergency crossband when our repeater was not working at a sled dog race. And you got to make sure that you know in advance what you're going to use for frequencies and get that all set up and everyone's on board, because otherwise
it's a mess.
It was a mess.
Yeah. And just to follow up here, Mr. Phillips asked, the UV5R does it right? And no, it doesn't. Unfortunately, it has what's called dual receive. So you'll have your main your primary channel you'll be listening to, and it'll sample a second frequency, so you can kind of listen to two sort of at the same time. You know, like every 5 seconds, it's going to sample the second freak in order to see if there's activity or not, and it can cut in. But that's not really considered crossband repeat, because there again, you need to have two physical VFOs in the radio, one so that one can listen while the other one is transmitting at the same time.
Right. Yeah, that's generally a function reserved for higher end radios.
Yeah, several $100s. You know, for the new ones, Yaesu, I think, is it the FT300? I think still does it. FTM.
Is the 300 and the 500 or 300 or 100 are the new radios?
Yeah, the 300 I think is the newer one. The FTM 500 hasn't been released yet. That's one that's supposed to be replacing the
400.
The 400, and then the FTM 600 came out last year, but that has dual receive. It doesn't have true crossband, you know, or anything like that. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's So unfortunately, that's one of those high end features that you almost have to pay for. Got a couple more questions here. Good place to buy antenna parts and hardware.
Hardware store?
Depends on what you're looking for. You know, it's I've bought a lot of antenna parts for homebrew antennas from our local home improvement store, like Home Depot or Menards. You can find some
Fleet Farm or Farm and Feet.
Farm. You know, farm and ranch stores are a good place. You know, if you're looking for cheap wire, electric fence supplies is really good for that.
So I think 5-6 years ago, I found a 1/4 mile spool of like 18 gauge electric fence wire for $12. And I used to keep that around in my car all the time, just in case a QSO party broke out. But you got a bunch of steel wire, which will work just fine as a conductor. And you get some plastic insulators in the electric fence departments, and you can make yourself a lot of antenna for like $20. If you want to get fancy, you can get the plastic porcelain or the porcelain insulators, you know, but those are expensive. Get the cheap plastic ones.
You know, and other stuff.
You can also get your rope polycord or paracord. That's cheap. That works great. What else? If you get any sort of like screw hardware, make sure it's always stainless. Stainless won't corrode. Thinking of anything else really? PVC if you're making traps, get that at the hardware store. Yeah, really, a hardware store is where I get 90% of it if I'm making something. I mean, you can go online and you can buy things.
You can buy things like, if you're looking for toroids and stuff like that, you almost have to get those online these days because we don't have a Radio Shack anymore.
Right. Amazon's great for a lot of that stuff. DX Engineering,
and of course,
radio outlets.
Yeah, and the hand radio outlet, I mean, there's several stores across country. So if you're by a larger metropolitan area, you'll probably, especially on the West Coast, you could get into an HRO or something like that and pick up. There you can really get the good stuff. DX Engineering, probably if you're looking for, the more esoteric parts like aluminum tubing, couplers, things like that for towers and big masts and stuff. They carry a lot of those kind of antenna parts. But
things to think about if you're looking for aluminum tubing, find a archery store.
There you go.
Right, I mean, because they make aluminum arrows and they have bulk tubing, and they'll, for a fee, they'll cut it all the right size for you. I mean, the arrow antenna, which a lot of people use for 2-meter 440 sideband or for satellite work, is made from aluminum tube for arrows. So, and they'll put in the little, I forget what they're called, but they're threaded little insert in there. It's like a 1/4-20 insert. So you can, thread it all together too.
Make it any size.
Right. And then if you go on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, you could find an old TV antenna, just use the beam. It's like it's a 1-inch square tube stock, aluminum. Take the old elements off it, put your new ones on there. You can make yourself a real nice antenna for not a lot of money.
So there you go. So outdoor stores, farm and ranch stores, home improvement stores, you can find a lot of basic parts for building it. And I'd say probably, with other than stuff like, special wire, ferrites, it's everything. Most of my stuff I try to pick up at, if it's an antenna project, it's something that I'm going to build for a video. I'm gonna pick up as many parts as I can from the local home improvement store to make it just accessible to everybody.
Right. That's kind of the same thing. Like if I go to Home Depot, Menards, Lowe's, I'm walking down the aisles for something else, and then I see something, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I could. And then I go to another aisle, then I go to another aisle. Next thing you know, I'm like, what did I really come here for? Oh, well, I got an antenna project now. And I get home, my wife goes, well, the sink is still leaking.
Of course.
Right.
I don't know what happened to you, Joe, but all of a sudden you sound like you're in a stadium. We got a big echo going on. So,
I don't know. Let me take a look at my settings. Stand by, please.
Yeah, it's. I don't know if I can. We got echo cancellations turned on, so it's I don't know what's going on there.
I'm just gonna do this a little bit. I'm gonna stop automatically adjusting my mic volume.
Okay, well you're doing that,
I can't hear the echo.
I can hear, so I don't know if it's weird.
Oh boy. Well, all right. So do I need to just restart again?
I don't know if I can. What happens if I mute you and then unmute you? Does that make a difference? Yeah.
Oh, hey, how's it going?
Yeah, you still sound. Yeah, you still got her. So.
All right, I'm gonna mute myself. That didn't work.
Oh, wait.
Flash.
Joe?
I'm here.
Okay. I turned the echo cancellation.
Why don't you take a question and I'll be right back.
Actually, you're good. You're good now. I turned the echo cancellation off. So.
Well, there we go. All I did was click on the mute button and click it off again.
Yeah. Oh, hey.
Hey.
Okay, we're back.
All right. All right.
So
thank you for coming to our TED Talk.
Shane's just confirmed that the FTM 300 does have crossband repeat feature. So if you're looking for that's probably going to be one of the the most basic of the transceivers with crossband repeat. So
there you go.
Yeah. So.
Oh, well, while we got a moment, while my audio is not being crazy, earlier in March, I think right after our last show, I had the opportunity to go up to lovely Calumet, Michigan, up in the UPA. And I participated in the Copper Dog 150. It's a sled dog race. As some of you know, somehow Michael and I always get pulled into sled dog races, right? But the Copper Dog 150 runs from Calumet all the way up to Copper Harbor. 3 days, 50 miles each day for the 10 dog teams. And then there's 8 and 6 dogs that run shorter routes.
So
I want to say thanks to the folks up there that invited me up. It was a great time. Special thanks to Bill, KD8JAM, Don, W8PSP, and Amber, who's a friend of the show, KD9KKY, putting up for me over the weekend. We had a great time. Couple interesting things. So we used their 2-meter repeater, which worked pretty well. But if you've ever been up to the UP, it's all mountains. It's all hills. It's all copper mountain.
Yeah, let me pull that map up again, because this is the Keweenaw is something else. So
right. It's a little sketchy in some spots for VHF. So interesting. So working with, I believe it's with Michigan Emergency Management, they were also able to use the 800 megahertz digital system. They had their own talk group. So in the event you were in an area that had bad 2-meter reception, we could switch to that system, and we were able to continue communicating. So great news there. Also, these guys are fantastic. They've been running this for over 10 years now. So good that they know the approximate time that the dogs will hit the checkpoints, so you don't have to wait 2-3 hours at a checkpoint before the dogs get there. Nice, right? How many times did you have to do like a marathon or race, and you just sit out there all day,
day long
for 40 minutes of actual work, and then you have to pack up. So real efficient. So if you got to move from one place to another, you got everything planned out. So, and they're also really good. So we were actually relaying back times, and they have it set up so they enter the time into the system, and it automatically populated on the Copper Dog website. So that was real cool. So they really put a lot of into the back, back behind the scenes in terms of infrastructure and stuff. So, great group of people up there. The snow wasn't too bad. I sent a picture to Michael about my truck, parked in a driveway, and the snow is up to the roof line of my truck. So definitely 4-wheel drive territory out there. But there you can see the maps. Like I said, the 10 dog sleds did 50 miles a day about. So that's quite a bit. And the first night is Friday night. So they do actually first part at night, and they were taking off at like 6-7 o'clock in the dark, and they run that 50. Then they run another 50 next morning. So they
got a camp out there in the Keweenaw.
Yeah, that's it's up there. It's something else. But but they do the loop. They don't camp at night. It's a loop that they do.
Oh, okay.
So I think they were back at Calumet every day, I think.
Okay.
Right. But anyway, it was a great time up there. Great people. Good weather. I think it was 40 degrees both days, Saturday and Sunday, that I was out there.
That's nice.
Well, the great for us, bad for the dogs.
They like it cold, yeah.
They like it cold, and then when it gets warm, the snow gets sticky.
Yeah.
So it actually slows down their time, and the dogs have to work a lot harder. So good for volunteers, bad for dogs. At one point in time, we had to make snow appear on a road crossing. So everyone grabbed their shovel and, shovel snow out onto the road. Fortunately, there's a plethora of snow up there. But yeah, thanks to Don, Bill, and everyone up there. Had a great time. Very warm and welcoming. They have their own ham shack too up there, by the way.
Oh, nice.
It's kind of hidden. It's interesting.
So that's good.
Second. So my audio is still doing pretty good.
Yeah, I was starting. I put the echo cancellation back on because I started to hear something in the background. So hopefully,
Yeah, I have a
um, but
feeling. I have a feeling the gremlins upstairs are making a lot of noise.
as you can see the image, Joe's got a new camera, so and
A
new
new camera yet again.
and it's working this time. Fortunately, it's working, but still a little.
Right,
We still got some audio to
right.
debug, I guess.
It's a work in progress. We'll just say
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So good deal. All right. Let's see. We got a quick one here, and then we'll come and get into our mid-break here. Cody asks, what's the best way to quiet RFI from an inverter generator?
Shoot the generator.
Yeah, that is going to be, I don't know if there's an easy way to do that because it's just broadband noise. And I don't think you're not going to find like a brute force method like filter caps and ferrites to fix that problem.
Right. You can try the tried and true methods. You know, make sure that everything is grounded.
Mm-hmm.
Ferrites, chokes. You can use a bandpass filters. You can use a. We had the filters a few times that when we did winter field day.
Yeah,
You know what I'm talking about. But at the end of the day, that hash is so bad on
it
those
is.
inverters that you have to make a choice if you're going to use them. You know, one time I remember we had a little kind of like a suitcase generator, which is basically the same thing as an inverter,
Yep.
and that it was S9 noise, and as soon as we shut it off, the noise went down below S1.
Yep. Yep.
So yeah, you got to be picky when you go out there and you're looking at generators or inverters because the cheap ones or certain designs will just kill everything.
They'll throw some. Now, Travis, he's had very good luck with the Harbor Freight Predator generators.
I got to tell you a story. So earlier this week, a friend of mine got the email from Harbor Freight, and I guess the 3,500 or the 4,000 watt Predator was for like $159.
Oh,
So he had two in his carts, and he showed someone. And I guess someone must have figured it out that they put the wrong price on him. And as soon as he hit click, it crashed. Like it emptied out the cart. They caught it.
Oh no!
But if you got the 100, like it was obscene what the price was. It was obviously a misprint or something. But if you got one of those and you were able to get it, let us know.
But those Predators, they're surprisingly quiet. I'm not going to say they're silent because they do generate some hash, but they seem to be very, very quiet for the price. So if you're looking for a ham radio friendly generator that's not terribly expensive, look at the Predator.
I thought they was like he said they were only like 600.
Yeah,
600 or 700. So and also apparently they are a little more robust than the Honda ones. I guess there's been some problems with the Honda ones getting hot. These ones apparently have not had that problem yet. So.
Yeah, and he's had his out in when he's out there all summer long camping in the national forest. He's using it daily to charge his batteries. So
right, yeah. So and he's been using it for more than a couple of years now. So I think if you get more than a couple of years out of anything from Harbor Freight with regular use, that's pretty good.
You got your money's worth.
If it came home and it started, you got your money's worth.
All right, we're at the bottom of the hour, and I just want to kind of just thank some people here that the ones that are very important to the channel because they're the ones that really help keep the wheels moving on this crazy train, and that's our patrons over at patreon.com. First, we're going to acknowledge all of our continuing associate producers, those on the highest level of support. We got two new ones, Bill and Andy Russell. Thank you for your support. And then also our continuing producers, Dave, Brian, Chuck, Rand, Joel, and Lyle. Always great. I'm really totally indebted to you for your support. And there's some new ones that came aboard in this last in the in the month of March, Kaifix and Lori. So thank you so much. It's greatly appreciated. If you too want to help the channel out, grow and support that mission to inspire and educate the amateur radio community, you can do that over at patreon.com/KB9VBR antennas. And with that, we'll just have a quick. KB9 VBR antennas are simple, effective, and affordable VHF and UHF antennas for amateur radio, MERS, public safety, and GMRS. Made in the USA with quality parts. Get yours online at jpole-antenna.com. All right.
And we're back.
And we're back. So, and Ryan says, we were talking about Harbor Freight. Used the tools on the river when he worked on tugboats. Don't cry when a screwdriver wrench goes overboard.
There's a YouTube channel, tool guy, that if you need an 1.5-inch wrench for one job, go buy it from Harbor Freight. Don't spend like $200 on an 1.5-inch wrench from Craftsman or Snap-on or something. Go get it from Harbor Freight. When it breaks, you're done, right?
Yep. I got one of those $15 angle grinders, and for the number of times I've used it, I've gotten my money's worth out of it. So
one thing a lot of people are finding at Harbor Freight is the Apache cases or Go boxes. Those are like a really good Pelican knockoff. So if you're looking for a cheap box for your Go kit, check those out.
We might have to put Harbor Freight on our list of places to go for antenna supplies too, because
they don't really have hardware stuff. Like you can't get wire there.
Well, you can buy tape measures for the tape measure Yagi.
Well, okay, you got me there. Because their tape measures ain't worth anything. Oh, they're bad. You might if you measured something and it said 12 inches, I would check it with a real tape measure to make sure, and I still may not believe it. They're bad.
Not for measuring use.
However, truth be told, about 2 months ago, I was in a situation where I needed a 1/4-inch drive torque wrench.
Mm-hmm.
They have 1/4-inch drive torque wrenches for like $20.
Oh,
truth be told, they work.
Once.
We use they work. We actually use them, like their Pittsburgh ones, at work for like when you're torquing lugs down on connections on larger ones. They do have a torque specification, so we do actually use them. We do actually get them calibrated, and they do actually work. So take that for what it's worth, I guess. But yeah, I don't buy their tape measures. Don't do that.
Unless you're building an antenna.
Yes. When their tape measure takes the velocity factor into consideration.
Here's a challenge. We should do this. We should spend 20 minutes in Harbor Freight and find stuff to build an antenna, or not even that. Just shop the store and find good ham radio related things. So
I can hear the Oompa Loompa music going right now. Oompa Loompa doopity doo. I got another tool for you.
Oh. Yeah, the Apaches. Those are definitely a good deal. So
yeah, I have yet to hear anyone complain about the Apache boxes, and more people use them. And Pelican cases are just expensive. I mean, Pelican was designed for the military, right? So you pay military prices, which is stupid. Like it's a military hammer. So if you want to save some money on a Go kits, the Apache boxes are probably the way to go. Or do what I do is I just find the actual military cases, like surplus, for like $15 a piece, and I use those. Yeah, they may have been for like night vision goggles at some point in time, but they work just fine for radios.
Yeah, when I back in the day when I was working in the camera store, we had the Pelican cases, but we were also schlepping around $10,000 worth of lenses and gear and stuff. So it's
Right. If you had like a $5,000 KX3, maybe spend the $150 to get a Pelican.
mhm.
If you're shopping around radios like we do, you can get an Apache.
Yep, yep. Well, hey, people are recognizing that you've got good video finally. So
Well, it's been a little bit. Last month was just bad.
oh, that was a hot mess.
That was, yeah. That was like a girl I dated after college, a hot mess. Ooh-wee.
Oh, but yeah, we've been working hard behind the scenes to get you on the air. Yeah.
So to speak, yeah. This was actually fairly this is a Logitech, I think it's C930. Let me just take a look
Okay.
here. It's a Logitech C920.
Yep.
Okay.
Which
It's
I've got.
1080p, and it's real simple. And I had a little
Yeah.
tripod. It's got a quarter 20 mount. I just can't complain. It works. I mean, I still have the
Yep.
GoPro 10. I'm using that for shooting video for
Mhm.
regular stuff. But for this show, which we can only do in 720p because of StreamYard, I
Yep.
think this is perfectly fine. So
It's doing the job, that's for sure. And the trick to getting a good image from a webcam is good lighting to begin with. So they
mhm.
like lots of light. So
Yep, I got a
if
little LED lights up yonder pointing at me. That's why there's a little bit of a glare here. That's not a bald spot. If you say it's a bald spot, I will hunt you down, and I will, you know what. Um, I'm not Michael. Shots fired! Shots fired!
whoa, whoa,
I
whoa.
don't got the strategic hair reserve in the back like Michael does. Hey, but it works good, so we're gonna go with it.
Yeah, good deal. So, hey, we were talking earlier about ham fests, and there's a couple events coming up in the next month or so. So it's
Right. So, a Wisconsin favorite, the
a
Madison
little
Ham Fest.
closer to home,
Yep.
coming up in not this weekend because this weekend is the Easter holiday, but the Madison Ham Fest in Stoughton, Wisconsin is 8 days away. That would be Saturday, April 15th. And I will be in attendance at the Madison Ham Fest. So
Are you getting
if
a table?
you're, no, I'm not, I'm just going to wander. If I get a
Okay.
table, then I don't get to look at anything. So,
That's why you need an intern to sit at the table while you wander.
well, that's why I started to bring Chris, but she likes to wander too. And then she buys stuff. So
Oh, then she spends your money.
that's right. She said, yeah, selling the antennas. Yeah, I need money. Ends up buying a old tube radio. So,
Oh Lord.
so, yeah, it's Stoughton is about 20 minutes south of Madison, right off of I-90, kind of halfway between Madison and Janesville in the southern part of Wisconsin. So if you live in Chicagoland, it's a 2-hour drive. If you live in Milwaukee, it's 90 minutes. If you live in Madison, it's half hour. So Dubuque, Iowa, 2 hours. Twin Cities, 4. I don't know.
Something.
Something
It's
like
something.
that. So
Exactly.
it's yeah, it's a fun one. It's been they haven't held it for the last couple of years. So it's good that they've been able to pull it together this year, and should be a lot of fun. I've always enjoyed it. It's probably one of the more popular ham fests in the state of Wisconsin. So it's
Yeah, absolutely. Glad they're getting back and getting it back
yep,
going again.
yep. If you're looking for it, just Google Madison, Wisconsin Ham Fest, and w9hsy.org is the website. The Madison Area Repeater Association is the hosts for that one. So I'll be there. Hope to run. If you're local to the area, hope to run into you Joe won't
Yeah.
be there though, so you
No,
got something else going on.
I'll be busy that weekend, so I'll have to pass.
Yeah, so because you got your own. You're doing the trivia. So.
I am doing the trivia. 90 FM, world's largest trivia contest. Our 21st year, I think, playing in it. So, yeah, I'll be busy that weekend. There it is, the trivia life.
Yep. The
Yeah,
trivia life. When you talk about Disney World.
Oh, boy.
The trivia
Yeah,
life for
that's
me.
an interesting theme this year. I'm going to say that the trivia movie this year was Raiders of the Lost Ark. So
Oh,
I guess it'd
nice.
be right. Well, that's great because we love the movie. Everyone's seen it. Everyone's got it.
Mm-hmm.
So when they ask questions about it, those should be no brainers. But you got to think ahead of some of this stuff, right? So back in my mind, there was a Indiana Jones comic book series.
Mm-hmm.
Like, really? So I went to the eBays, and sure enough, there was. And about 30 minutes later, I had a bunch of comic books coming to my house. It's just like, well, we got to prepare because you can't necessarily find those fast enough in the
No.
length of 2 songs to answer a question. So,
Yep, you got to have that stuff ahead of time.
I
Yeah.
ordered a pile of those, and my wife's now questioning my. Like, you're an adult. You just bought comic books. Like the ham radios, maybe I can accept that. But comic books, Joe, comic books, really? Yeah, we had to have that discussion. Honey, it's for trivia. Comic books, Joe, really?
So M9 worked the phones at trivia. So there's a.
Oh yeah. You work the phones at trivia? I'm sorry. That is a thankless contest, sweet pants. So our team's claim to fame is that every time we call in an answer, we say, "Thanks, sweet pants."
Thanks, sweet pants.
Thanks, sweet pants.
All right.
I don't know how we even started it. I think it was. I think it was better than the other option. I think maybe we told them off, but.
So moving on. So coming up in May, the 19th through the 21st, of course, is the Granddaddy of Ham Fest, the Hamvention.
The mothership of Ham Fest.
The mother lode, the mothership, the homeland. Dayton Amateur Radio Association. And it's used to be in the city of Dayton itself, but it's now in just a few miles east in Xenia, Ohio, at the Greene County Fairgrounds.
So you'll be wandering around Dayton.
Yep.
You're not bringing your favorite co-host.
You want to come with?
Well, you're bringing your wife. That's going to get a little awkward in the camper. I mean, I like Oreos, but I ain't going to be in that one.
So hopefully, I don't know how many people are going to be there this year, but we'd love to meet up, do a what they call the eyeball QSO.
Right.
I'll be camping.
Michael will probably have goodies in his bag. Just remember.
Yes. Oh, I'll be bringing stickers. So if you run into me, make sure you get a sticker. I'll be camping Caesar Lake State Park, which is just a half-hour southwest of the grounds.
I assume that's a Florida entity too.
Yes, it is.
Oh, what a coincidence!
What a coincidence!
Will there be a special KB9 VBR Dayton QSO card?
There should be. I should see if I can put something together. We'll see how many QSO requests I get from the weekend, because we'll actually be working as we travel down. We'll be working parks too, because we're gonna drive the first night. We're gonna just drive down to Central Illinois and then cut across Indiana. So we'll be staying at a state park in Illinois, and then get over to Ohio. Do the Hamvention for a couple of nights, and then come up. I think it's Sunday. We're going to travel up to maybe Indiana Dunes or something like that, and and then Monday get home. So
Try to cut through Gary and Chicago all in one day.
pulling a trailer.
I hope you got a machine gun turret in it. Fill up before you get to Gary and don't stop.
Yeah.
You sure got a purty mouth. Da Bears.
All right. Hey, Brent's going to be at Hamfest on Friday, so we're going to have to. We're going to have to. I'll have to give you the frequency for my hand. The super secret frequency Chris and I will be using.
27 megahertz.
27. If we want to get connect up or something like that. So
they'll be free banding out 11 meters using their bow fangs.
Oh, what state park in Illinois? Would love to say hi. It's the one. Oh shoot, I don't remember the name. It's the one. You take I-39 down, and then I think you get to Champaign. It's outside of Champaign-Urbana because you get down to Bloomington and then you start heading east on 70. So I got to look on the map to figure out which one that is. As we get closer to the date, I'll have a more specific type of itinerary. So yeah, it should be a good time.
I'm pulling up the map right now, Michael.
Okay, let's see if you can find it.
It only takes forever for the map to load on this little computer. Come on, little computer.
You don't have one of those $50 computers, do you?
No, I spent a little more than that on this one. This one was about I think this was like $350. Okay, so you said right out of Champaign-Urbana.
Yeah.
So I see Clinton Lake. That's the west. And then I see Middle Fork State Fish and Wildlife Area.
No,
Kickapoo State Recreation Area. Moraine View State Recreation Area.
That's it. I think it's Moraine View.
Okay. That's a little northwest of but that's between Bloomington. So you got to go through Bloomington to get to Urbana. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I think
there you go.
I think that's the one. Moraine View is the one we're going to be staying at. So in Illinois.
Now, everyone, don't all be creepers and be waiting there for him when he gets there. Spread yourselves out. What is this town I'm thinking of down there that's got the big 200-foot cross? It's right down between Champaign-Urbana and Bloomington. But they got the big cross right on the highway. It's huge. It's ginormous. You can't miss it. If you got your signs up there, make sure they're big enough so he can see them. All right, as he comes down the highway with his little trailer. Effingham. Thank you, Brandon. Effingham.
Oh yeah, Effingham.
It's a big effing cross at Effingham. It's 300 feet tall. I kid you not. When you get down there, you'll say, "That's a big effing cross in Effingham."
That's a big Effingham cross.
It is a big Effingham cross.
All right, we got a couple more questions here. So, the Ratchet Man is asking: is an LWEF antenna okay to operate with a QRP rig, or is there not enough power? Is that
long wire end fed?
Long wire end fed, like a random wire end fed?
Right.
I wonder.
Yeah, so a random wire end fed is perfectly fine, especially at higher SWRs, because remember, even at a higher SWR on a end fed antenna, at QRP frequencies, you're not really having a lot sent back to you. So those long wire antennas are perfectly fine. Just get a matchbox, and you can actually just, like we did last fall, I just ran the wire right off the back of the tuner, no coax needed. And that'll work just fine at QRP.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if
the
you're running,
the antennas that don't work at QRP are trapped antennas, anything with a trap or like a fan dipole, those ones you lose a lot of your power in the traps and the fans. So
Yeah.
don't necessarily use those. But for a simple, the guys who do soda, Summers on the Air, love those short little 40 some odd foots end feds.
The random end feds with the 9-to-1 unin, because
Right.
because you can take a shorter piece of wire, 40-ish feet, and it'll get you down to 40 meters. They pack up really light, almost a little bit more convenient than the end fed half waves. So.
Oh yeah, and you can get the kit. There's kits for them for QRP ones with the toroid and everything. You just for like $20, right? Like dirt cheap. So absolutely, go ahead and use them.
Yeah. That's right. It's a great choice for QRP. So, all right. And since we're talking about end-fed antennas, I have an end-fed half wave with a wire for 20-meter band. I want to add a coil to talk on 80-meter bands. How can I find the coil details to extend the antenna?
Oh, you got to get the antenna book. I'd have to look that up.
Yeah.
So the issue though that you run into is if you add a coil on a shortened antenna to try to get down to 80, is that your bandwidth is going to be like just a sliver. And it's going to change every time you set the damn thing up. You're going to be like, it moves, it's going to be like, it's going to be like Duck Hunt. You get there with your little Nintendo entertainment system and, the dog is going, because you'll never hit it. Right. So you got to be really careful when you're doing that. But I'm sure if you look, you get like you don't even have to get the most recent ARRL antenna handbook. Find one from 1950s. It's probably got it in it. But you got to calculate how much additional inductance you're going to need in the antenna to get it down into that 80-meter range. But like I said, it's going to be a sliver of bandwidth. So take that for what it's worth. You'll probably need a tuner even with it. If you can find a spot that's 3-to-1 or better, that's about the best you're going to get.
I'm wondering if you've already got an end-fed half wave, if you can't just add more wire to it for the 80-meter band.
That would be the best thing to do. So like you did, you just made little connectors with power pole connectors, right? So that may be an interesting solution for you. Instead of trying to add a coil, you could just add more wire, really. With those little connectors, and maybe if you get like a porcelain insulator and then wrap both of your wires through that, they don't have to be connected. In fact, they shouldn't be. But then when you want to use it, it's just like a link dipole. You can just pop those together, and that would be better.
Just swap those links out. So so if you had an end fed, say 10 through 40, and then you wanted to add 80 because you don't need 80 all the time, just tie in that extra piece of wire and spread the whole thing out. It's
trying to get a 20-meter end fed to work on 80 is going to be a challenge. You can try it. I mean, you're going to need a pretty big coil on it, but I think at the end that you're just be able to add wire at the end.
Now that we're talking about this, I do remember that Dave White, he's got the 10 through 40 end fed half wave, and he built a little coil to add to the end. I think if I remember right, the inductance was 110 microhenries, and then he added a about 18 inches of pigtail at the end. And then you add a little bit more or a little bit less of the pigtail depending on where you wanted to put the dip, because it was paper thin. It was like 20 kilohertz thin. So if
you're working CW.
Yeah, so you can get it. So you could drop it down to CW or drop it down to FT8, anywhere up in phone. It was it was a mess because it was, if you looked on the analyzer, it was like 5-to-1, 6-to-1, and then it's just sharp. It's just a sharp drop, and then it's so. that video, if you search my archive of videos, it was the one we did about 2 years ago at Black River State Forest. And I don't know if I can find it or not quick, but if I can, I'll see if I can.
We'll post it when we repost this question on Your Questions Asked in a few weeks.
Yeah.
We're in the future. We know what's going to happen.
Ain't that the case? So I don't know if I can make this to do something. Let's see. I got it. And here we go. And
there. Oh, hey, look, you posted it.
Yep, there she goes. And that's the end. That's the end fed 80. That's where we talk about the coil for the to get our end fed half wave down to 80 meters. So.
Biff's got the almanac. I love it. Another random movie reference. Back to the Future.
There you go. Yeah, 20 kilohertz is really thin, but it's really nice if you wanted to get on a net on a certain frequency on 80 meters, or if you wanted to work, if it was a really small range. He built the coils for so you could use it on FT8 and CW, and it was that was just enough bandwidth for those purposes. But on phone, it was tough to really, it was a mess, but it was doable. So, and it works. So, all right, okay. See if we got any other questions highlighted here. See, someone's asking about Eridan, the Amateur Radio Emergency Data Network, and what its purpose is. I know a guy that's done more work on Eridan than I have, so I am not really too up on it. But basically, what it is, it's a high-speed data network. Like you're using wireless network topologies 802.11b. In those frequency ranges, actually, because your 2.4 gigahertz 802.11b, I think it was like 2 or 4 of the channels actually fall into the amateur radio bands, so you can use.
I think 4 of them.
Yeah. 4 of them, they fall into amateur radio purposes. So you can set up. Eridan lets you set up mesh style networks, data, image. Voice, things like that. Anything that you can transfer over IP can be, because it's an IP internet protocol technology. So it's really handy in that regards. And you can, and I know some guys in the southern part of the state that are getting distances 20 miles or more between Eridan nodes. It's pretty. You can throw some power behind it and do some pretty amazing stuff. There again, Aries Races, emergency communications. Emergency communications is not always voice, but it's stuff like moving documents, moving emails from one place to another, and that would be images from one place to another. If you were in a disaster scene and their served agency wants like a video feed, or they want images of the scene, or if they need to move files for like inventory or rosters or things like that. Eridan is the technology that really lets you do that kind of stuff in a very efficient manner.
I think 15 years ago, we were familiar with ham mesh. Ham mesh was a protocol that was for some specific wireless routers. The nice thing about it was that it was an open source system, but it only worked on a couple, and those routers have pretty much gone out to pasture now. I think Aridin is now more robust. It's available
Mm-hmm.
on different routers. So basically, you're just you're taking a stock router, updating firmware, and then with the ability of using additional antennas, because if you're using it as a non-amateur radio license, you're limited to the stock antenna. As an amateur, we're allowed to make high gain antennas and so on and so forth. So we can do some different things there,
Yep.
and that's really where some of this creative stuff gets going. I've seen guys do voice over IP using VoIP phones. You can pick up a phone, you can call a different node within the network.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things you guys can do. If you have a net control and a net liaison for doing storm spotting, you guys can be sharing files, even if regular infrastructure, cable, internet is down. You can still communicate between over the air with data. So it's really a robust system. A lot of people are using this for emergency communications, areas races.
Yep.
I know there's a Facebook group for it. I can't think of the name of it right now, but there's a lot of stuff out there.
Yeah. So, and it's something that's just kind of I'm not, and I don't know if it's a new rising star in amateur radio, but it's just one of those things that's just kind of moving along, and they're making improvements to those technologies. As wireless technology improves, so does the hams using Aridin and the mesh networks are really hitting that bleeding edge. So.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So yeah, definitely check it out. If someone knows more about it, let us know. It's always great to see, kind of, forth, sideband to be able to transfer data like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. So yeah, that's a great question. We're gonna have to dig into that more. I know I've talked to the couple of Iridium gurus that I know. Maybe we can get them on the show, and if at some point in time.
Maybe they can VoIP in, and we'll get them on like that.
Well, there we go.
That would be a first.
Okay. Greg asks, what's good all bands for antenna, 6 to under 60 or meters to 80 meters? Oh, really depends on what you've got for space available to you.
Oh, yeah,
that's what I've always.
Location, right?
The best antenna is the one that you can put up into the air.
Yeah.
If I think, something that really excites me, if you're looking for an all band antenna, would be especially 80 meters would be something like a doublet. Flat top, 133 feet, fed with open feed line, and with a good manual, with a good wide ranging tuner, you can go anywhere with that kind of antenna.
Yeah, definitely. It's a stretch to get a good performance on 6 meter through 160. It really is. And you got to have the room for it. You got to have the height. So and even if you do, you can go buy something off the shelf, and it may just be crap. It really depends on how you install it and the location. So.
6 is the problem, because it's such, the wavelength is so small that if you're spreading out wire for these lower bands, it's just the nulls are like, the lobes on that, it just gets super crazy for 6 meters.
Yeah, you'd be better off putting up a J-pole 6 meter on the side, and then putting up a 10 through 80 or a 10 through 160. The 6 meters is not going to really work on something like that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. The vertical antennas, probably, if you want something all band, the best would be 43 feet, big old monopole with a nice big radio field. That'll get you on just about any band. So, and then there's everything in between. End-fed random wires, end-fed half-wave antennas, G5 RVs. Whatever you got for space. It's
there's not one good antenna for everything. If there was, we'd all have it.
That's right. So. The magic antenna.
Right.
Yeah. If you got the space, many options: dipole, vertical, end-fed. A lot are horizontally and vertically challenged. So yeah, you pick what you fix. You pick what you
I
can.
am
What you can make
horizontally challenged.
fit. All right. I've seen this one. A show has popped this up a couple times. What are your thoughts on the Belka portable HF receiver?
What?
I am not familiar with this. I really see.
Oh my God, what is that? It's like a little itty bitty thing.
Yeah, here, let me.
Oh wow, it's the size of a cigarette.
I'm gonna. I got it up on the screen. Do do do. Yeah.
Oh, where is this coming from?
435 BYNs. I don't know what a BYN is, but
yeah, this is coming from somewhere in the what?
oh, it looks kind of cool. I'm gonna have to check this out.
It does. Oh wait, whoa! Is this Russian?
I think
This
so.
legal?
Yeah, it looks like it's Russian.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Or cool. Thanks for
They're listening to us if we're listening to them.
we're gonna have to check this out. This looks kind of neat.
Okay.
So, all right. Well, thanks for this is new to me, so it's
Right.
I guess we'll have to check that out and see if I can find more information on it.
Maybe some
Belarus. It comes from Belarus.
Oh no, wait. I don't know. We want anything from Belarus there.
It's neat.
A little shady over there. You know what I mean? Not the trees.
All right.
Just saying.
Scott's in there. Good evening. So thanks for joining us today. So yep, we got a couple people say Belarus. So it's we're gonna have to Belka. That is how they get you.
Why do I hear the Soviet national anthem on this when I'm listening? I don't know.
I am intrigued.
Comrade, yes. Tastes like vodka.
There we go. We got it. We got a comment that came in on a video a week or so ago, and PB asks, "Should I ground or bond things together in my Go box?"
Oh.
And we've talked about bonding and grounding and the importance of it for the home stations, but we really don't talk a whole lot about bonding and grounding out in the field because I don't do a lot of grounding out in the field. So.
Right. And the answer is no. Or niet, if you're listening in Belarus, right?
Belarusian.
So let's go back. Grounding is connecting a device to a earth ground, like a ground rod, a cold water pipe that goes into the ground or something, usually for a effective ground fault path in the event of a short circuit. Okay. We also use grounding for lightning protection.
Yep.
In some instances, we use grounding for antenna performance, but that's more of like grounding radios. Okay. So when we are operating portable, first and foremost, lightning protection. If you're operating portable and there's lightning, you don't need grounding. You need a psychiatrist. Right?
Shut her down. Shut her down.
Shut her down. Take the plug the antenna. Put your fancy toys away and take shelter. When we're operating portable, we generally don't have AC power. We're just running off 12-volt DC. Now, that being said, in the event that a 12-volt device had a short circuit and the chassis or whatever surface, a metal surface that you could touch were to become energized, it would only be energized with 12 volts, which is not
Mm-hmm.
really sufficient enough to injure you. We ground 120 volt equipment. So, in the event that if there is a short circuit to the chassis or to the body of the device, that it has an effective ground fault path, the overload, the device fuse or a breaker trips immediately, and that protects you.
Yep.
So, do you have to ground while you're operating portable or with a go box? The answer is no. Do you have to bond? Bonding is connecting everything metal together so everything is at a equal potential.
Potential, yeah.
Equal potential, exactly what it is. A
Mm-hmm.
potential is voltage, meaning that everything's at the same voltage, 0 volts or ground voltage if you're grounded. So realistically, not necessarily. There's maybe some performance things that may help. So if you have a Go box that is in a not a Pelican case, but like one of these rack mount cases, like an 2 unit or 4 unit rack case.
Like a Fibrox case or something like that. Yeah. Like
Exactly.
a
It may
gig
be
box and mhm.
beneficial to have anything that's metal that's in it that has a little ground screw to, ground them all together or bond them somehow.
Bond them all
Most of the
together. Yeah.
Right. Most of the time they're already screwed into the shelf or whatever that's in there. So it may be a moot point.
Mm-hmm.
If you're gonna bond anything together, the radio and a tuner should be at the same potential. But I don't see a lot of performance value doing anything like that for portable use. We talked a little bit about inverters and how they have some hash and stuff, and grounding may help that. If you have
Mm-hmm.
that problem and you're playing around, and if you can find a way to dissipate some of that excess energy, I'd like to hear about it. But I don't. There's a guy at Field Day that says, "Oh, we need to ground all of our radios," and he gets out a ground rod and he sticks it like, wow, if I hit the table, that really shakes. I never noticed
Yeah.
that. Learning thing for what really grinds my gears. I don't need to get too crazy there, but then he takes a ground rod into sand and he pounds it like a foot into sand. Like, oh, we all need to get our grounds on that. No, you don't. You absolutely don't. There's nothing whatsoever that's going to do. Period. End of story. Don't say another word.
Yeah.
It's not going to help. And so then he said, "Well, we got to ground our antenna." Well, great. So we're going to be like, if you really want to ground a tower while it's up for like a day, you have to pound multiple ground rods 10 feet deep to get
Mm-hmm.
any sort of realistic lightning protection, and then try pulling those SOBs out the next day. Right?
Oh, wow. I hate that.
Right. That ain't going to happen.
No.
So, in the event that you think that there's a remote chance that there could be lightning or something, pack up, take a break. Right?
Disconnect. Yep. Yep.
Disconnect.
But
So,
yeah. So, if you're hardwiring everything
mhm,
into a box, for your Go box, and bonding might not be it's not going to be a bad idea. It's not going to hurt. It's definitely not going to hurt things to bond, but
right. Yeah.
don't expect it to give you a performance boost
Right.
or to protect you from something.
The other thing to
Uh,
consider, though, when bonding is sometimes we get a problem with audio applications where you get a ground loop, which is a hum.
ground. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Right. So sometimes we want to lift the ground in an audio situation. So there's something to be considered on that as well.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you don't got to get crazy with bonding and grounding in portable uses or in a Go box. I would say the main thing is that if you have anything that's 120 volts, it's got to be ground. It's got to be bonded back to the ground, whether it's a generator or some other 120 volt mains. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, no, no.
Not so much. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's yeah. Scott says I can only see grounding on a portable station helping if you're having a lot of static or discharge issues such as wind and such. And
So,
maybe
right.
yeah.
Yeah. So if you have an antenna that's up and it's insulated from ground, and there's a lot of wind and particularly dry environment, or maybe there's a storm running in, you do run the chance that basically the antenna becomes a capacitor and actually stores a little bit of a charge, which could discharge an unfortunate situation into their radio. I have heard about this. Again, if you're really in that situation, why are we operating at this time, right? This is not a time to be operating portable. Um, Effective
Mhm.
grounding of that is gonna be more than what you can do for a simple set of photo operation or even a weekend camping. It's just not doable.
Yeah.
So
It,
yeah, I don't follow it.
maybe if you're into emergency communications, if you're actually working an incident where there could be a potential for bad weather, I suppose. But there too, I don't. These other first responders, they don't. Do they ground everything?
No, your handheld radio ain't grounded.
Yeah. Well,
Your
that wouldn't
mobile
have to be
mobile
ground
radio would be bonded to the
bonded.
chassis
Yeah.
of the car, but it's definitely not grounded by any means, as the
Hmm.
car is insulated from the ground. Actually,
Yep.
the car and the tires actually kind of become a capacitor if you
Yep.
think about it,
Yep.
because it's the ground. There's a charge stored between the ground and the vehicle. You jump out of a car, sometimes you get a little shock when you touch the door, right?
All
That
the
does
time.
happen. Yeah.
I thought it was just my
Um,
electric personality.
well, it ain't because you're storing a charge in your hair, I'll tell you that.
Ooh.
Ooh, shots fired. So yeah, I would say that I wouldn't worry about it too much. There's times to be more concerned about bonding, like in a mobile application.
Yeah.
Um, Hinges like hoods, trunks, mufflers, exhaust systems. Some of these things need to be bonded, but they don't have to be grounded. So
HF Mobile, you should bond everything. So,
yeah,
or at least
HF
a clear
Mobile
path. Yeah.
it's an art form. It really is.
Yes. Hmm. Yeah. And Don here says, yeah, the reason you ground is to meet the National Electric Code. So it's
Well,
yeah.
okay, master electrician talking here, buddy. Okay, um, so your power supply plugged in, it has to be grounded, right? And the reason is, well, what happens if your power supply shorts out, and then you go to touch that, and there's 120 volts on the chassis. In our old electrical system, we never had a ground, right? So there was no way for the voltage on that chassis to go to ground. That's where it wants to go. It
Mhm.
wants to go back to the source. So we now ground things. We have that three-prong outlet that will allow a potential that builds up on a chassis or a place that you can touch it cause a short circuit, meaning that when you have a short circuit, the current explodes exponentially. It goes from 0 to thousands of amps in an instant, but that will trip an overcurrent protection device, a fuse or a breaker, and that will make it safe. You'd rather trip the breaker right away than getting electric shock. Same
Mhm.
thing like GFCI protection. So it's not just for NEC to be compliant with that, or your homeowner's insurance. I mean, realistically, your homeowner's insurance doesn't come through your house and make sure that everything is plugged into a three-prong outlet. They really don't. You may have like a home inspector come in before you buy a house, say, "Oh, there's not a three-prong outlet there. This place is not going to meet code." Guess what?
What?
Only new installations really require that.
Yeah.
And so many houses don't have a grounding outlet that there's a specific spot in the NEC that tells you what to do when you don't have one, and it doesn't mean run another wire.
Mhm.
Wow, did I go on a rant there without that?
I'm going to talk about the homeowners insurance because some carriers are requiring, their underwriters are requiring some type of inspection, and I had to do an inspection last fall with the current carrier I had. They sent me this little app on the phone, and I had to take pictures of the inside and the outside of the house and the electrical box, and they
Did
didn't
you
like my
scratch your
electric.
name off the electrical box?
Let's just say that when my insurance renews next month, I got a different carrier.
Oh, well, yeah. See, they're always looking for make a block or two on you. But But
Yeah.
so you're in a house that's 100 years old.
That's
The
right.
only way for you to actually have grounding in your house would either be to rip everything out and rewire
Yep.
everything,
Oh yeah.
or you can install a GFCI breakers or GFCI outlet specifically without a ground, and it has to be labeled no ground
Yep.
on it, specific wording for that, but that would still suffice for code. So you don't necessarily need
Yeah.
grounding code. All right. Yeah, I know. Homeowners insurance is trying to find a way to make a buck, but in the end,
Oh yeah.
so what? They're gonna make you rewire your entire house? Are they gonna pay for
Well,
that? No.
yeah.
It's
There's,
silly.
but the good news is there's so many carriers out there that if one screws you over, you just switch to another company. So
Right. And 9 times out of 10, they see the radio equipment in their house and they don't even know what they're looking at.
yeah, that's true.
Unless you're my insurance agent, who's a ham.
Oh yeah, Don there says, yeah, no 3-prong outlets there, older 2-wire system. Well, I got you beat. I got this in my house.
Oh, the old knob and tube, baby. The old knob and tube.
The old knob and tube. All right.
So WV1W8, that's not a necessarily correct statement. So the way a GFI works is that it measures the amount of current coming in on the hots and the amount of current going out on the neutral. Okay. So if there is an imbalance, it trips. So do you need to have it on a downstream outlet? I've seen some weird things with GFIs. I really have. They're not the end all be all. So I think what they specifically say is that everyone has to be replaced with a GFI if you're going to go that route. Now, here's the other caveat too: the rabbit hole time. The GFI receptacle, the yoke, and everything is pretty big. When you get into older houses, the box that they installed in there is like the handy box, which is the smallest of boxes. So trying to even jam those in there is a pain in the right. So it's 6 of one, half dozen the other, because if you start jamming wires in there, sooner or later you're going to get a short. It's going to short out. Well, the box isn't grounded, guys. What's going to happen? This is all stuff I've seen. So
oh, I should pull out the pictures when they had my walls ripped out. So
no, don't do that, because your insurance carrier will drop you again.
oh yeah, well yeah, we don't talk about that anymore.
No,
it's all covered up.
Yeah, it's just more plaster, maybe. Just more plaster.
All right, I think we're going to grab just one more question here, and then we're going to find out what grinds your gears. Hi, Jason. Hey, from lacrosse. Jason. And let's see, Christopher. 12 by 15 backyard between two-story buildings. Thoughts on a DX Commander vertical?
Whoa!
I think
you're sandwiched in there.
Yeah, here's the problem. I mean, the DX Commander you can get it upright, but in order for that antenna to really, and I think it would work between two-story buildings, but to get that antenna to perform, it needs a radial network, and the more radials tend to be better. I think if your backyard is 12 by 15 feet, I think what the problem is going to be is that you're ideally you're going to want radials that are 16, 22, 33 feet long, something like that. And with a 12 by 15 backyard, you're probably going to end up with like 8-foot radials. I don't know if you can get 16-foot radials spread out if you've got enough space for that.
That's a real tight. Yeah. And then your takeoff angle is going to be terrible between the two buildings.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if it would work. I mean, you can try it, but with what the DX Commander costs, I don't know if you want to take that risk.
Yeah.
I would try stringing a wire between the two buildings before I did that.
I think you're probably going to need, if you were gonna try to put in 8-foot radials, you would probably need 20, 30 of them. You need 30,
No,
36
I think
radials.
Scott's got the right idea. 12 by 15 sheet of copper would probably be their best, or copper mesh.
Oops.
They do make copper
Yeah.
mesh.
Yeah.
They use that more in commercial antennas for AM broadcast antennas, but they do make a copper mesh. It's not going to be cheap, I can tell you that. But yeah, they do make it. Otherwise, I don't know what else to tell you. You can make longer radials, and you kind of make them in a pinwheel fashion. Maybe they don't have to be straight. But yeah, the 12 by 15 yard is going to be a challenge in itself.
It's going to be tough. Yeah. That it's not meant to be a permanent antenna, but it's great for portable. It's probably not, for long-term durability. It's because a lot of the parts are plastic. Probably not good for permanent fitting. But but really to make it, to really, be an effective antenna, it needs a good radial network. So
yeah,
I don't know. And with a vertical antenna, that's almost the case with most of them. Unless you get onto something like that Diamond, was it a 7BBV or something like that, or BB7 or that? But there again, too, it's without a network, it's kind of mediocre.
Right. Yeah, Richard says 100-foot tower in a tri-bander. Well, great. You put up a 100-foot tower. You tell me how you're going to guide a 12 by 15 backyard, buddy. Ain't gonna work.
High gain AV 680.
I don't know. I've not seen that one, but again, any vertical is going to require some sort of ground network.
There are a couple of high gain models that don't that are advertised as not requiring a counterpoise, but so you have to try it. Maybe before you invest the big money in a DX Commander, is to try prototyping something with just if you can suspend, say, a vertical wire up. Well, if you wanted a 20-meter quarter wave, if you can get 17 feet of wire in the air, and then try a few radials, see how it performs. You could go to a outdoor store, and you can get a one of those crappie rods, fishing rods. You can get that up 17 feet. Put enough,
done that.
Yeah, we've done that enough, 20, and then so you can have a quarter wave of wire for the 17-meter band, and then just fashion some kind of ground network, a series of 8 or 12-foot radials. See how that works in your backyard. If it doesn't work, all you're out is $40-$50.
Right, and if you can get that, then you could add a loading coil to it and work 40 meters.
Yeah. So that might be it. And then if you think that if that's a good, if that looks promising, then maybe the DX Commander might fit. So
exactly, yeah, I would go that route. Try making something first at home.
Yep. It's got a jackknife pole. So try model band vertical with radials. See how that works in your backyard before you invest in the DX Commander. The DX Commander is a nice antenna, but I just don't want you to try to shoehorn it into too small of a space.
Right. So. Then you're stuck with an antenna that you pay too much for, and you say, it sucks. It doesn't suck.
Yep. So, all right.
Most antennas are pretty good at just the installation.
Absolutely. So, good deal. Well, I think we're kind of to that time.
We're running late tonight. I'm in trouble.
Something's burning.
You know what really grinds my gears?
Oh, look at that.
Oh, jeez.
oh, man. Earthquakes, tsunamis coming from China. Oh, it's that time of year, my friends. Get out your Wheatie roasters. We're going after the Baofeng, boys and girls. Michael, bring that up, please.
Roll that beautiful Baofeng footage.
Oh, God. There it is, guys. This year's new 100-kilometer, 120 watts USB charge. UVBR 102069. I bet you this thing probably works on 27 megahertz to 10 gigahertz.
Ooh, I'm sure it does.
Let's talk about this, boys and girls. In the United States, where we land on the moon, we don't use kilometers, okay? Get that kilometer craft off my radio, right? If
Freedom
you're going to
units.
sell me a radio, it better be in miles, and it better be triple-digit miles. I ain't spend my money on it. 120
Freedom units.
watts. Yeah, freedom units. Right? Right next to freedom fries. Whatever happened to freedom fries, guys? America. 120 watts, that's all you got? 120 watts. You know what? I could go to Colorado when I could grow some green stuff with 120 watts. Give me something a little bit more than that, okay? Okay. I am just up. Oh, USB charger, really? Oh, give you a break. 3 days later, you got 10%. Oh, wow. Wow. It's 6 colors. Okay, let me tell you something. It's one color. You just leave it outside in the sun, and it'll fade 6 different ways, and you'll get lead poisoning.
Yeah, lead poisoning from that yellow paint.
Oh yeah, I'm sure everything in there, and of course, it runs on every 156 megahertz to 438 megahertz. Oh wow, really? At 120 watts? Oh, you're killing me here. You're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me. Now, obviously, this is April Fool's. We get it, but. I gotta roast the Baofeng lovers out there, right?
Oh yeah.
In the words of the New York Friars Club, we only roast the ones we love, but for you Baofeng lovers, we'll make an exception. And that's what really grinds my gears. Happy April Fools, guys. There we go.
Oh man, oh man, oh man.
Freedom units.
Freedom units. So in a video,
this is freedom units. And there goes the PG rating of this show.
Oh.
Oh, Don's got a good question. I don't think that had a flashlight.
No.
What the hell, Baofeng? You taking my flashlight? Where's my bat signal? How am I going to get Superman? Oh, come on. This is just unbelievable.
Oh man, oh man, oh man. Talk about freedom units. So in a video, I was talking about dimensions of an antenna, and I gave it a both imperial and metric. And I said, for those countries that haven't landed on the moon,
it's 3 meters.
And that was... Oh, I got more grief for that. I got more heck for that than anything else.
Well, have you landed on the moon, Europe? No. At least Canada's got the Cana arm, right?
That's true. That's true. Oh boy,
we better shut this down before the Chinese.
Yeah, it's been a good show. A lot of good conversation tonight. Thanks everybody for popping in there. Coming up, just want to remind you that not this weekend because it's the Easter holiday, but Saturday, April 15th, I'll be down in Stoughton, Wisconsin for the Madison Ham Fest. If you're in the area, hope we can meet up. May 19th, 20th, I'll be at Dayton Hamvention. Hope we can meet up. If you're going to be down in Xenia, actually, Dayton Amateur Radio Club's Hamvention, and future videos.
You'll have goodies in his pockets, boys and girls.
I'll bring free candy or something like that.
Werther's, yuck.
Oh. We'll talk about one more show before Hamvention. We'll talk about Hamvention next month. So
he'll have his plan ready. He'll be out in the swap. He'll be out in the swap fest in the mud.
Hopefully I'll get. I'm planning on having a light day tomorrow, so I'm going to try to get out and do a park sometime tomorrow afternoon. So listen for me on the
hopefully
air.
the weather. I
So.
mean, the wind in itself has been pretty rough. I think by Monday or Tuesday, you're going to have some pretty nice weather for some activations.
72 degrees by Tuesday. So
we'll
be melting snow. Yeah, we're planning to pull the trailer out this weekend. So if it's nice on Sunday, that's our
air it out.
Air it out. Get all the solar stuff hooked back up again, so it can charge the batteries and
it's that time of year.
It's that time of year. Yep, we'll be camping in a month. So
if not sooner.
If we can make it work. But,
right. Exactly.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, everybody. Our next live stream is Thursday, May 4th. Hope to see you there. But for now,
may the 4th be with you guys.
It's going to be the special May the 4th be with you episode.
Yeah, I'll be Darth Vader for what grinds my gears. Use the ball bag, Luke.
All right, everybody, have a great evening. Michael, KB9 VBR.
And I'm Joe, KD9 CJX 73.
Good 73.